Well, here we are. It is Friday, September 15th, 2023, and this is the weekly video. We do these every Friday. Take a look at what's been going on in the auction market regarding Chinese and Asian art and antiques and so forth, and what the prices are, things that are coming up for sale, auctions that are happening, auctions that are going have already happened, and how they did and whatnot. And as you know, this week we did several videos on the upcoming Christie sale and one yesterday again on the Sotheby's sales that are coming up in New York for Asia Week. And there's some interesting things, as you know. We went over a bunch of them, and there's lots of things in there that you might find that you like even better. So by all means, check it out. Some of the things that are going on elsewhere is there's quite a bit, and I'm going to go through just a few of them here. This is over on the global member pages. These are a few auctions that have popped up in the last week and a half on the invaluable side. And those of you who use the pages, you'll notice that we've added a little red flag for Gallery Zach. And that is because I took a look at their sale the other day. There's some nice things. They always do. But they also have some things that are highly questionable, and they avoid the dating and one thing and another. All I can tell you when dealing with Gallery Zach is if they don't sort of put in stone what the age of the item is, be very cautious. They leave a lot of there's a lot of vagueness in their description sometimes, and I don't know why they do that. Well, I know why they do it. They want you to spend more money than you should for something because they have a consignor to keep happy, but it's no excuse. But there are a bunch of other sales, as you can see, and we're going to just take a quick walk through them. This is the Doyle sale. This popped up. They were kind of late getting this sale up about 9 or 10 days before the auction. As best as I can tell, they I don't know why they don't get them up sooner, but at any rate, this is the deal. And they have some nice things this time around, some good things, items that are not in the upper price range so much, but things more in the everyman range. You know, under 10,000, under 15,000, under 5,000, under 1,000 even. And here are a few things I saw that I thought were very attractive. If you've ever wanted to own a very good-looking, very well-done Guy-type porcelain vase, they have one. And it's got a chin lung mark on it, but they feel that it's probably later. Here's the bottom of it. They got the mark upside down. They do that a lot. I don't know why. They get their marks upside down. The mark is upside down here, but the foot rim on this looks pretty good. They feel that it's a 19th century piece. Rick Cervantes is pretty sharp on this stuff. He feels that it's probably 19th century, but it's an awfully nice vase. And it could be, just out of the Qinlong period. It could be a Jai Ching example or something. You kind of have to look at it and go over it. And if you're going to the preview, ask Rick or somebody there that knows what they're doing to come and talk to you about it, because it's beautifully potted, nicely glazed, good color. It measures 11 inches tall, which is pretty big for one of those, good size. And it's got a $1,500 to $2,000 estimate and a $750 opening bid. So if it's an early 19th century example, I think that's pretty reasonable. All right, and then hopping along over to these, a very nice pair of 12-inch tall 19th century cloisonné immortals jars, or immortals vases, I suppose. They have a nice form. The shape is very, very appealing. This sort of wide body, wide at the shoulder, nice strong necks, good thick rims, good thick bases. There's a little bit of wear to them and so forth, but they're interesting and they're well done. And the estimate certainly seems within range, $4,000 to $6,000, $2,000 opening bid. I think those are very pretty. I think they're really nice. And then there's this Hongxi period. They just dated it as late Ming. These are actually typically viewed as Hongxi pieces. Here you are, late 15th century. This is a nice looking dish. It's got the very classic foot rim you expect to see on those from this particular period, and the scrolling vines. These are with the bird in the middle. The deal with this is a particularly good one. A lot of these pieces from this period are very blurry and fuzzy, and there's a lot of bleeding of cobalt and whatnot going on. And this one is pretty crisply done for this period. That's much more crisp than most of them. And the back of it looks very good. I don't see any damage to it. It's about a little over 12 inches in diameter, I think, 12 and a quarter inches, estimated at $2,500 to $4,500. with a $1,300 opening bid, and that the opening bid is certainly reasonable, and it should bring 2 to 3,000. I don't know if it'll bring 4,500, but 2 to 3,000 because the quality of the decoration is quite good. And a lot of these were made, and they were made for the export market. Some of them made them to Europe. A lot of them went into Southeast Asia and so forth. The PVD Essex Museum in Salem actually has one of these. And then over to this. If you remember that terrific bronze that looks very, very similar to this, that is in the Christie sale, that has a $200,000 to $300,000 estimate. It's in this style. This is a Tibetan copper example that popped up at Doyle's, and it's much more reasonably estimated. More affordably estimated. I don't know if it's more reasonable because it's a matter of perspective when you're dealing with objects, but it's estimated at $800 to $1,200. And this has some really nice details in it. So if you like that big piece that is at Christie's, and you're not ready to shell out, a 5-year college education to get it, you might take a look at this. This is a very nice, legitimate-looking thing, and they've sort of dated it 18th to 19th century. To me, this looks like a pretty straight-up 18th century type. To me, it's very nice, low compressed form. Still has its cover, which is almost a miracle, and it has the very similarly decorated back to the other one in sort of exposed brownish copper color. It's not bronze, but it is copper alloy material. But it's a charming box, and it's good size, 12 inches. That's a nice presence. And I think the estimate is extremely reasonable, $800 to $1,200. I wouldn't be surprised to see this bring 3,000 or 4,000, but we'll see. But if you like that bronze that we talked about from Christie's, like I said, it sort of made you feel like you wanted to own one. As luck would have it, here's a very similar type anyway, stylistically and visually, in some ways. All right, and then also they have this is also at Doyle's. Is this very nice early Sino-Tibetan silk robe that was probably redesigned. The sleeves were altered and so forth. As we talked about the other day, that they would get court robes and Chinese robes sent to Tibet, and they would reconfigure the sleeves. Now they said this is an 18th century one, and it could be, but boy, it has certain aspects that sure look a bit earlier than that, the 17th century or 16th century, late 16th century even. You'd have to really go over it, but the wave pattern, the way the bottom of it is done down here, and the spacing and the clouds and the way the dragon is done, it's a very attractive robe. And I think the estimate is very reasonable, $8,000 to $12,000, $4,000 opening bid. I think this will probably do pretty well. It needs a cleaning. It looks pretty dirty. This looks like it's been, like this was worn. This was used in the culture, most likely. And so it's got a bit of staining to it, which I think would clean up just fine at a good silk conservator, a good textile conservator. You don't send this to the dry cleaners. You send it, there's a number of good silk conservation and textile conservation outfits around, and they can clean this for you. It's not cheap to get cleaned, but boy, they can do an awfully nice job with some of these. And then this is the Zach catalog. They've got, as you can see, it's a day 1, day 2, day 3 sales. They've got 2 parts on day 1 and then 1 part on day 2 and so forth. They have Chinese and Japanese works of art. They've got a very nice gauze robe. There's some good things. This is what I'm saying. You have to go through it. But anything that seems a little bit too good to be true, be skeptical. That's all. That's all I'm going to say on this subject. All right, and this is this is Bernard's Auctions up in Antwerp in Belgium. Has a sale coming up. They've got some nice looking things, a lot of blue and white wares, as you always see in that part of the world. A lot of Ming late Ming wares, Wan Li wares, Kangxi pieces, and so forth. The nice Kangxi plate here. Some nice Femi Vert examples. A lot of 17th and 18th century porcelain. So do check that out. It's on the invaluable page on the global members side, and it's at Bernard's Auctioneers, and this sale is on October 3rd. And then coming along behind that, this is a really interesting sale. Carlabonte in Bruges, Belgium. They've got some nice looking pieces in here, and I pulled off a couple. I want to go through them because I really, really liked them. Let's see here. The pair of Dragon and Phoenix Tianchu Ping vases, late 19th century, they're saying, which seems to make right, Guangxu period. But look at the size of these things, 57 inches tall. These are very, very big. They're 20, that would make them 22 inches in height, roughly, which is extremely large, and it's a pair. They're not marked. They don't have Guangxu marks on them or anything, but this is clearly the style that was, big during the Guangxu period, the dragon and phoenix chasing the pearl, and this nice Femi-June ground, very nicely decorated, good enameling. The pictures, unfortunately, I guess they shoot them in low resolution or something because they don't enlarge particularly well. So if you want to get good detail shots, you'll have to get a hold of them and ask them to send them to you. The bottom of it, though, looks, absolutely right for that period, for that Guangxu period. There are the foot rims, a little waviness in the glaze and so forth, but very nicely trimmed. Actually, they're quite well trimmed on the bottom, and the enamels are good, and these are big, and they're a pair. So, the old rule of thumb, three times, a pair is worth three times the price of a single. Sort of holds true here. They're estimated at 15 to 25,000. But they're very, very pretty, and they're very unusual in their design, with the white background at the top with the dragon and then the Femi-June body, and then it's separated by three different bands of decoration to break it up. I think it works really, really well. I like those. Those are two of the nicest Guangxu vases I've seen in a while, I think, as a pair, especially given their size. These are big. They should have put something in the photograph that showed, to give you a sense of scale or size to it, a deck of playing cards or something. These are big pots. And then there's this. There's a number of good vases in the sale. These are mostly vases I want to show you. This is also a nice big vase, 58 centimeters, roughly almost 2 feet tall. Again, 19th century, first half of the 19th century, with this unusual sort of cobalt band arrangement running around the middle here with gold decoration on it, and then cartouches with gilt and underglazed blue, figures outside playing Go, and then below it is a sort of a rose canton pattern of birds and butterflies and flowers, and then this very elaborate looking lappet arrangement at the bottom. And those look like almost like pearls going down, but they're very delicately painted, which is quite unusual for this thing. And you also have this banding of the dragons chasing the pearl here, sort of a thing you see on some Ming pieces. And it's got this raised roux head collar and this very simple, very modern looking almost gilt and handles, and then the banding again at the top. It's a nice looking vase. I think it's quite striking, and the estimate is very, very reasonable, 1,000 to 1,500 euros. Should do much better than that. That looks like a $2,500 to $3,500 vase to me. The opening bid's only 500, and according to the condition report, is in their opinion, it is, I guess it's slightly uneven a little bit or something, but it's in excellent condition. They don't mention any problems. You want to get a confirmation on that, of course, because they say, oh yeah, it's repaired, but it's in excellent condition, because some auction houses do that. I don't think Bernard's does that though. Carlo Bonte. And this sale is coming up on October 4th. So you have time to get information. And then this is also in the sale. This I thought was really, really nice. It's almost a pear-shaped bottle. It's either late 18th or early 19th century. And there's this beautiful monochrome glaze to it. It's a very, very warm cocoa. And at a glance, it almost looks like it has a little aubergine in it or something. There's a different shade in here. Really like the color of this. There's the bottom of it. And that, to me, looks like a late 18th or early 19th century pot. I don't think this is a late Qing piece. I think this is sort of middle Qing. And it's very nice. It stands up beautifully. It's got a really good presence to it. And it's quite large. It's about 13 inches tall. As you know, a lot of these bottle vases in this form, these pear-shaped bottle vases, are 6, 8, 9 inches. This is a bigger one. This is a good size one. And it's got a very nice looking stand, and I'm assuming that goes with it. Straight neck, matching, includes the matching base with marble inlay. So that's nice. It's a good looking, that's a nice base. It's probably a $400 base. So that's something worth considering if you're looking for a nice vase. And they have a good transitional period sleeve base. As you know, there are a lot of copies and fakes of these around. This one to me looks absolutely fine. The cobalt color is very, very good. The bottom of it looks all right. Um, Here's the up close. The grasses look like little check marks and are done well. This, of course, looks very typical of the period. It's a decorative style that you see most often on Kangxi pieces, but you also see it on some later transitional wares. And it's estimated very reasonably 6 to 10,000 euros. And we've all seen what some of these have been going for. And this is a pretty big one. It's 44 centimeters in height, so it's good size. It's very good size. So it should get there easily with a 3,000 euro opening bid, but it's a nice thing. And then this caught my eye. It's got a chin lung mark on it, and I looked at it pretty carefully. And I think this is a heck of a nifty vase. I think it probably is a out of period. I don't think it is Qianlong, judging by the way the faces are drawn and some of that business and some of the colors. But I think it's definitely, I think it's probably first half of the 19th century. Love the pink handles. Like the yellow is nice and clear and very well done. I like the light blue on the chime. This jade chime hanging with the lotus blossom, and then the bat it's all suspended from the good luck bat, and this pink border that you see often on Qianlong vases. This is a border pattern you often see from the 18th century. It's got some elements in there that make it a little bit of a mystery. My personal feeling is it probably is 19th century, as they suggest, but it's also quite good size. It is 71 centimeters tall. This is a big pot. So 60 centimeters is 2 feet. So this is about around 2.5, little 2 foot 4 inches, 5 inches, somewhere around there. That's a big vase for this in this style, very big. And the estimate I think is extremely low. Here's the bottom of it. The estimate's only a couple of $1,000s, and I don't see any repair or damage to it. This is the base, and that foot and the way that's done. It maybe not be Qianlong, but boy, it's not long after it. I don't think. I think the colors are awfully good on that. If maybe somebody will go there and they'll really be able to nail down what it is. Unfortunately, I can't enlarge the pictures enough. Get a really sharp. They distort out. So based on the blurring I'm seeing, it's a little bit difficult, but it certainly is an antique vase, and it's a very, very nice one. And until I hear different from somebody, I'm going to say it's probably first half of the 19th century, certainly. And it's estimated at just 2 to 4,000 euros, €1,000 opening bid. And I don't know, this looks like a $7,000 to $10,000 vase to me, even if it is early 19th century, because of its size and has extremely attractive color palette. It's very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. And then over here, this is Leslie Hindman's got a sale coming up in 11 days. And they have these several nice fragments of silk in here and Kisi panels. And the one on the upper left certainly looks Ming, and the one on the right looks Ming. I'm not so sure about this one, but it could be. Because it's been obviously cut down from something else, but it's a nice assortment of textiles, and they're all framed and ready to hang. You've got about $1,000 worth of framing right there, and they're estimated at 3 to 4,000 with a $1,500 opening bid, so that makes them a pretty good deal, I think. And then this is down in Heritage, down in Dallas, Texas. A very nice pair of hanging silk panels, needlework, a very attractive background. And they are framed. And I love the blue and the way the rocks are done at the bottom with a heron on top of one and then a tree coming out of this one. They really go together well. And these are big. These are nice and tall. They're estimated at $1,000 to $1,500. That seems like a no-brainer. And they're 73 inches tall, so they're 6 feet in length. So these are big panels. You want to talk to Heritage if you don't live near Dallas, and just say, can you give us a shipping estimate? Because they may be a little expensive to ship, but to me they look like they're probably worth $1,500 a panel. So I think the estimate's more than reasonable to $1,000 to $1,500 for both of them. Very, very nice, and I forget what their buyer's premium is, but 25%, 25%, yeah. Which in today's world actually is on the not on the low side, but it's a sort of smack in the middle. It's hard to believe. I remember when the buyer's premium, there wasn't any buyer's premium. and it was just the sellers paid the commission, and that was it. And then it became 5%, and then 10%, and then 15%, and then 20%, and as more and more of these deals go on the internet, just as a warning to you, um, uh, the more convenient buying is, the more expensive it gets, because you're going to see, this is why you've seen such big rises in fees and so forth from selling sites on the internet. It's because of it makes everything more expensive, makes it more convenience, but there's a price to be paid for convenience versus going to an auction, sitting in the audience for the day, picking up your things, paying for them, and going home with them. To have that all handled for you and have the auctioneer put it all back in storage and then arrange to get it shipped off to a packaging place, and that's extra manpower, extra hours, extra labor, and less productivity for the auction house while they're trying to get other estates together. And as we've all watched, the prices have gone up. End of my rant. And we're done. All right. Now, what's coming up on, what happened to eBay this week? Yeah. If we can get the page to load. There we go. It was a pretty good sale. As a lot of you know, Migolari had a bunch of things up, and this was that really, I thought, awfully pretty plate. Dalsai and decorated underglazed blue. We talked about it last week because I thought this was a quite unusual, very striking looking piece of porcelain. Like the blue, I like the flowers. I love this green band, and then the hint of colors in here on top of the underglazed blue and the very delicately painted shrubs and so forth. I thought this was just a nice plate, and apparently so did somebody else, because it sold for $658. And this was not an enormous plate. It was just a little over 8 inches in diameter. This was not a charger, but it was beautifully painted. A really sweet, sweet piece of 18th century porcelain. And then there was this. This, I think, was a bargain. This is an Anya Straits vase, 22 and 0.8 inches tall, a 19th century example. Now, it had some repairs to the mouth at the top. We'll get over here in a second. There we go. It's had a break up here, and there may have been something in here, or it's just maybe scratched. I'm not sure. Up in here, this is that repair, I guess. There's an old repair. But this was a very big piece of Peranican and nice colors. Everything about it looked absolutely fine, and in sort of an unusual shape. Get back to the original shape. There we are, with that pink background and that very long neck and a ruffled edge top, and chimeras and fruit lions on the neck. It looked awfully good. And somebody picked this up. I think this was a steal, $658. If this vase were perfect, it would have brought $4,000 to $5,000. And I don't think that little bit of damage should have taken off that much. I still think this vase is probably worth $1,500 to $2,000. I think it was a really nice piece of porcelain and quite unusual. And as you know, these Anya Straits pieces are very popular right now, especially now. But that is finer than most of them. So if somebody knows why it didn't bring more money, I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And then there's this Republic period vase. I think maybe he called it late Qing. Daisai style rouleau vase. I don't think he dated it. Hold on a second. He thinks it might have. He believes possibly an 18th century blue and white vase, which was re-enameled in Famille Rose in the 19th century. That's an interesting perspective. I don't think so. I think this is more likely a late Qing to Republic example, but because I redecorated from what? I don't quite get this point. But at any rate, I thought it was a very, very pretty vase, and looks in like in nice condition overall. And it ended up selling for $1,018, and it measured, I think it was about 20 inches tall or something, 18 inches, a little hair over 18 inches tall. Good looking porcelain. And then the pierced bowl. We talked about this last week because they don't turn up very often. This one had a small hairline on the interior of it, but reticulated right through, very cleanly done. Sometimes they're double walled, and you'll have this reticulation, but there'll be another wall inside of it. This one isn't. It opens right to the interior. There it is. You can see the reticulate. There's the hairline in it. But quite unusual. They don't turn up all that often. They're very collectible. Lots of them, you tend to find them in Europe. And this one sold, with the hairline, sold for $769. And then over to this. These were kind of a surprise. These Huform vases with Dalsai enamels, but they were large, fine large pair. They were 37, 14, 15 inches basically, 14.8 inches in diameter, and very charming scene on them of two sort of people walking along carrying a basket. Um, quite charming scene, and nice cobalt decoration, cafe ground, and these are not early. These are probably mid second half of the 19th century vases, but a good form, unusual decoration. Um, they've got the brown stamp on the bottom that you often see on these, but and these nice root handles and so forth. These are very attractive. Um, let's see if we can get some of them to show. Here we go. All right, and there's a couple of them. A couple of them I think they look like the star gods. A couple of immortals. And you have a nice pine tree arrangement at the top. There's those nice little root handles that somebody put on there. And what's unusual about them, I don't know if anybody looked at these, they noticed, but in relief are flowers coming off the bottom of these branches, like a continuation from this from this over here. This tree, it's actually a pine tree, but they have some like peony or plum blossoms coming, and then going back up onto the piece. Very attractive, very nicely done. And there are the bottoms, of course, with the square brown dressing marks on the bases, the foot rim and so forth. They absolutely look like they were made during the second half of the 19th century. And look at the price they brought. They brought 9,000 and $919. So basically $10,000 by the time you throw in the shipping for the pair. But they were sort of unusual, and they brought a very, very strong price. I thought they might bring 3,000 to 5,000 or something, but a couple of people obviously loved them because you don't get to $10,000 by yourself. You have to have some underbidders, and let's hope they got paid for. Those are nice. All right, and then over here to this, he also had up this very nice pair of famille jaune with turquoise top and bottom banding and brown and gilt dragons on a famille jaune ground. Very bright yellow, nice clean, crisp yellow. They look like they were in pretty good shape. 19th century, they were not enormous. They were 26 inches tall, so about 10 inches in height. And look at the price, $3,849. And this is something we've been seeing more and more and more. And again, famille rose diocese type of decoration, sort of. I guess it is with the colors, but everybody, I don't know, everybody suddenly all this diocese stuff is turning up. Maybe it's because of those lots that are turning up at Christie's. Everybody's trying to jump on it or something. I don't know. But these are very, very nice. And as we've seen, many of you know from the previous videos, these moon flask forms have been going up and up and up in price for the last 6 years. Suddenly I remember when a pair of vases like this at an auction, you'd be lucky to get $400 or $500 for them. And not that long ago, within the last, 30 years or something, the price has just skyrocketed. Especially if they're well done, crisply done. And even at the major, there was a pair of them at one of the big, I think Christie's or somebody had it in London a few months ago, and they had a pair that brought $6,000 or $7,000. They were beautifully done, I have to say. They were really, really pretty, but they were about this size. And here you are, $3,849 for these. Not bad. And this very attractive plate, I don't know if we covered, no, we talked about it as a preview last week. I thought it was a very nice example because the colors were very, very strong. I liked the yellow in particular, and the crispness of rose enamels, and this whole very charming, very classic Chinese scene. You see the scene all the time on export wares, in particular, ladies on the veranda. Sometimes they have children. Sometimes they're with their men bringing in things and so forth. Very, very nice scene. But I liked very much the way they did the support here with these drapes on the pole for the veranda, and then you have these balustrades running around it, and that very typical interior cobalt border that you see on lots and lots and lots of China trade pieces. But then they added a band of color red over it. And it makes it quite nice. And the back of it looked, absolutely right to the period, late 18th century. And how big was it? 14 inches or so, 9 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches, 13 inches in width, sold for $956. And you'll see similarly decorated plates to this, but not as finely done. The quality, you're paying for the artwork, quality, 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 quality. And this plate brought about double what this style of plate of lesser quality generally bring. And it's because the work was so good. It wasn't that nobody overpaid for this. The work was so much better. It wasn't generically. It looks a little like all the other ones you see, but if you look carefully, you'll see that this one is quite a bit better than most of them. And then this was sort of a great little buy, nice little late 19th century Meiji period Amari Japanese vase. And I put this in the newsletter because I thought the colors were so appealing. Very bright, very cheerful, very up. The gilding looked good on it. It's a nice example all the way around. It's missing its lid. It had a lid at one point in its life, and somebody probably dropped it. But the combination of patterns, the vertical palettes, the vertical patterns on this, I thought were really, really attractive. And they made the vase look big. This vase looks like it's about 15 inches tall, and it's not. It's only about 10 or 11 inches tall, but very, very meticulously done. Here's the bottom of it, very typical of late Meiji period just mid Meiji period porcelains in the Amari palette from the Arita kilns. And look at that, $162.50. There you go. That's a great thing for $162. When you compare the quality, always think of this. When you look at the quality of some of the Japanese things and what they sell for, and then you look at the quality of some of the Chinese things. And I'm not saying the Chinese things don't have a lot of quality, but for a second half of the 19th century, if you had a piece of Chinese porcelain that was decorated to this high a quality from China in the second half of the 19th century, in Meiji period, 1880s, it would be worth a lot more than $162. And it wouldn't be as well decorated. It would probably be worth around $1,000. So that shows you the price disparity between Japan and China. And I've said it for months. I know a number of you out there are collecting Kutani and Satsuma and so forth, and I'm all for it. I mean, it's fine if you like it. I'm not saying collect Japanese stuff just because it's not expensive, but it is an item for the value for the art you're getting. The Japanese material today remains an absolute bargain. Some of the stuff is some of the things bring a lot, the certain types of prints, and we've talked about, and certain ritual pieces, but in samurai equipment and all that. But in the ceramics and decorative art and all that, aesthetically, you get an awful lot for your money with Japanese things. All right, and then coming up on the list we put together for this week, there's a couple of pretty good things. I'm just going to do 2 or 3 of them. One of them is this very nice Wang Hing late 19th, early 20th century cup with the plum blossoms all over it and with a cracked ice pattern. It's sort of an interesting mix. And as you know, Wang Hing was one of the most well known of all the Chinese silversmiths. Very, very well known. It should do pretty well. They always do. Wang Hing pieces always do very well. How tall is this thing? Hallmark 90 Wang Hing. Height 7 centimeters, so it's not a big one. It's about 3 or 4 inches in height, but a nifty little piece of silver. It should bring 400 or 500 anyway. And then over to this. This is pretty good. This I don't know who this seller is. Al's Loft Finds, whoever he is, over in the UK, is this Kangxi, one of the central tree dishes with the Amari decoration going around it. These plates are well known. If you buy Kangxi pieces, you'll recognize it right away. But this looks like a nice, clean example. We've seen them come on here in the past. They've been cracked up the middle. They've got lots of chips. They've got repairs and so forth. This one looks like it's pretty good straight up. You want to get a condition report and double check with them, but it looks pretty good. I don't see any. I'm trying to find even if there's a hairline in it. So far, I don't see it. He provided a lot of pictures. Good job with the pictures. This is a nice plate, and right now it's got 5 days to go. It closes next Thursday. It's 15 and a half inches in diameter. It's a big one. It's not a plate. It's a charger, technically. And it's only up to $31 US. It should end up in the $700 to $1,000 range. But we'll see. But that'll give you some idea. It's a nice looking plate and it's in good condition. It doesn't, there's no apologies to make. So go for that. And then this is a charming thing. This is a late Ching pillow. And you see these often in houses. People love to use these as bookends. But this is sort of nice. It's not fancy. It's not, one of these highfalutin things, but it's nicely done. Aesthetically, it's very attractive. It's got the interlocked cash symbols on the ends, and these two ladies sitting together, sort of having a quiet moment in the countryside. And then another woman over here with her child, and he's got a kite going up in the air, which I love that kind of stuff. Kites and hobby horses, all that fun stuff. It's got some fritting. They shows the fritting in the pictures, but this is an absolutely legitimate piece. Here's the bottom of it, flat, unglazed with a beveled edge, and it's just a nice thing. If you don't have a pile of money to spend, it just went up, so you can come by and you can hit it right away, put a bid on it. Leave a bid for things like this because you never know where it could end up. All right, this kind of a thing. You think, well, I'd pay 150 for it. Then go leave 150 on it. And even if it's up to 120, leave 150. And the reason is you don't know what the other person's limit is, or maybe, I think it'll do better than that. I think it'll bring probably 250 to 350, but it's a nice looking porcelain, and that's all I'm going to say. And I haven't said it in a while, but remember to leave bids. I hear from people every week who see something and I missed it. And I said, well, what'd you leave for a bid? Well, I didn't leave a bid. Well, why didn't you leave a bid? Well, I was going to bookmark it and then come back, but I didn't want to leave a bid on it because somebody might find that it attracts interest in this sort of thing. Leaving bids on things does not attract bidders to come in and bid against you. You very often leaving a bid, if it does anything, it discourages people. So keep that in mind. And I don't know what that was. They rang and hung up. Leave bids. Be aggressive. You will find, because most people, if you ask yourself fairly, if you see a piece and it's got some not a lot of time left to go, or maybe a bit of time left, but you see a bunch of bids on it, you're going to go, God, everybody's found it. Look at that. Not a chance of me buying it. And which isn't true. Sometimes you have a couple of people that are sort of going back and forth, and they're amateurs and they really don't know what they're doing. So leave bids. I can't emphasize that enough. And you will overall do better than waiting and then forgetting and putting it on watch lists and all that stuff. It's good to put it on a watch list. Put it on your watch list and then leave a bid, and see how you do. All right, keep an eye on things. That's it. Thanks so much. I hope I haven't done too many videos this week. I'm going away, going up to New Hampshire. We're going to visit some friends in southern Hampshire. I might actually do a video from it. It's a neat place. And then we're heading to the house in North Conway for a couple days. We're going to be there through the rest of the next week, through Sunday. But we're going to bring the gear up, and we've got cameras and stuff in that house anyway. And we'll be able to do the weekly video up there and probably do some price results videos and so forth while we're waiting to get our dishwasher replaced and cordwood delivered for the winter. Because we ran out of wood this spring, so we got to get some more in there. We got a couple of cords of wood coming. All right, that's about it. I hope you're all great. Thank you to the Patreon members again. And if you haven't joined on Patreon yet, you might consider it. It helps the channel a great deal. We're going to be doing some things on the Patreon page for the people who subscribe over there as sort of an extra thing. And remember, the weekly videos you can see over there ad-free. And all the videos that we put up are going to be ad-free over there. So you don't have to click through. I don't even know what the ads are because I don't ever see them, but it's a better way to watch movies, I think, without ads in the middle. That's why Netflix does so well. All right, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back in a few days. All right, bye-bye.